Hi, my name is David Drake. Welcome to the New York Stock Exchange. And today we have some guests with us from Korea. Mr. Kim, Mr. Lee, pleasure having you both here today.
Thank you very much, David.
Thank you very much.
Excited to have you guys here.
Thank
and
you.
I learned that you might one day go public in a place like the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
yes. Thank you.
Look at your smile, yeah. And Mr.
Yes.
Lee's like, oh yeah, this is where I want to end up.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It's a long way for you to travel here.
Yes.
So I'm glad you're here now. And do tell us, what the advantages and the problem you're solving. Because you did say that the engineers and the doctors don't talk, and you look
Yes.
very young. So you
Yes.
must be the new generation from Korea saying, hey, I'm going to bring technology to solve that and give you imaging that's in color,
Yes.
that's showing you internally where to cut, what to cut, how to cut, or repair, or take tumors out of people, and reducing the risk, increasing the success,
Yes.
removing the chance of hemorrhaging, and potentially even dying on the
yes,
table,
yes,
right?
yes, definitely right.
So tell me, what's the main problem you're solving with this technology?
Our fluorescent endoscopes visualizing the vessel and lymph node, and in some cases tumor. So it's tumor in real time. So we make it possible to surgeons to see the surgeons to avoiding vessel cutting,
Right.
vessel failure, and we provide the reference to the how to cut, where to cut in operation, and in some cases in like liver surgery, we can show the real time. We can show the tumor in real time, so they can get to know the precise position and the shape of liver cancer in operation. It's important that it's a real time.
It's fascinating, and the quality is extremely high. I thought most of the quality already was high, and
Yes.
I'm realizing it's black and white, it's ultrasound, and you can't really see the texture and the coloring. And Mr. Lee, you're helping with expansion into the U.S. So part of that problem is also, is the company today having the endoscope being used in the world, and how do you see the growth?
Right. At this moment, one of the endoscopes are using in Washington D.C. at this moment, the Children's Hospital, and I think they're quite fascinated about the usage. And then obviously, they would like to see more coming from ITS. And then we also have joint venture coming along from China, who will be massively ordering this endoscope by starting about year 2020, and hopefully they will be our biggest ticket to basically start up the business.
Well, like I understand it, this is an imaging endoscope.
Right.
So you can have, in parallel run surgery with it.
Yep.
Correct? That's
Yes.
important. And of course, eventually there'll be a new product where you're going to be able to combine them and make it more efficient.
Right.
And then also, I think there's going to be a lot of interest from associations. I used to be involved with a lot of different associations, and I realized doctors are really proud of the work they do.
Yes,
and if they
yes.
find a new technique, they want
Yes.
everybody to know. They want their, status to show the world that I did this. I'm teaching everybody else. So I think we mentioned that before when we talked privately, that, and one way to get to the doctors could be by giving them the opportunity to have the bragging rights to show how they did their procedure.
Exactly.
For instance, you use fluorescence, right? What does that highlight? The veins, correct?
Right.
So now you can actually, if you have too much fat and too much, to reduce the risk of cutting an artery, you use the fluorescence then to identify what the major arteries are.
Exactly,
And you can
yes.
try to go around them.
Yes, correct. So which means that young doctors also can gain fame from it, because traditionally only the experienced, maybe over 20 to 25 years of experienced doctor can do the surgery on livers, because obviously bile duct is very hard to find. Only experienced doctor can actually probably approximately know where it is to cut. But now with this visual light, you can actually see it, the image of the bile duct directly. Therefore, even the younger doctors, they can actually do the surgery safely, and the recuperation time is extremely short. So that a lot of patients actually love this type of AI-based equipment these days.
About 20 years ago, I was friends with a friend of mine who helped and advised people on a pacemaker installment. Very young, And it was always in the operating room, and everybody was confused why this kid is standing in the room giving these old doctors advice how to deal with a pacemaker. At that time, it wasn't as prevalent to use the internet to share information. So this kid been taught by the best, and he was in the room with the old doctors, very experienced, and he could give them advice. So I can see this has been explosive for young doctors because they need to learn.
Yes.
Exactly.
And the
yes.
best ones might not want to teach sometimes. They want to keep it, and others will teach. And the young ones who perform really well, they'll be able to show everybody else around the world. That
Exactly.
part of it, I'm very excited because we're really talking about social networking for doctors, young
Right.
and old, and universities and hospitals.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, some of the plans that you're doing now is you have a manufacturing facility in Korea, correct? In your office.
Yes. Yes.
So you can make this, and it's almost like a technology innovation because you're bridging engineers and doctors by this solution.
Yes.
So now you want to be able to, take this and make it even more of an AI technology solution. Is that what you're doing? Were you creating a?
Actually, we will adopt the AI function with the help of Seoul National University Hospital. They provided us 130,000 cases of AI health checkup data. So we will apply to our endoscope and other medical devices, and we are gathering the evidence and the clinical cases for AI function training.
Oh, fascinating. Bringing AI in with your technology, and also you're going to be doing components of this aspect, right, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
And Mr. Kim. So you, in the future, might only sell a portion of this equipment.
Yeah, actually, we're thinking about different business approach. Traditionally, again, medical equipment only sell as a whole machine, but we're thinking, what if we could actually sell as a modular level? Bring it into some of the hospital that who already has some of the equipment, but maybe some part might be not as good as the new one. So we can actually replace with the original modules, enhance their current machines. Their technologies. So we can even do that. And the machine itself is so easy to assemble. I think we can actually add on to any type of machine.
Well, I think it's exciting that you guys figured out to make it in the US, which you are already, will allow you to spread out the product globally. You have a couple of business developments in place right now, don't you have, Mr. Kim?
Yes, that's right. We currently have China. We are actually teaming up with China as a JV to basically sell this fluorescence endoscope into Chinese market. And then obviously once this JV is formed, we would like to bring this into also US, because as you know, the US and China market is somewhat close, but also this is very sensitive. So if we could actually bring it in a US investor into this JV format, they could actually get instant access to every distribution right in China. So that's one of our business plan that we want to bring it into US.
Well, part of the strategy right now is you build it up privately with sales.
Yes.
And then either we get bought up and up here.
Exactly.
Ringing the bell right over there. New York Stock Exchange with confetti flying down and yelling and screaming and celebrating.
I hope.
Yes.
And the university will be proud.
Yeah,
the
sure.
first company they invested in that went public in the US.
That's right.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, it's interesting options that you have because I know the big pharma is going to be interested in this, and technology buyers.
Yes.
Is this industry big in Korea?
Actually, medical industry is small compared to the other industries such as semiconductor and semiconductor like that. But
Well, Samsung, LG.
yeah,
of
Samsung,
course.
LG. But by ITS, the Korean medical industry will be much bigger and bigger because many doctors want to come to our company, come to my company and propose the business with their ideas. So we will be a platform for realizing their ideas, for making business, and we will be establishing the Korean medical industry very large.
Look, I'm kind of curious that you're approaching the problem with engineers and the doctors not talking. And that's kind of interesting because I didn't think about that, right? And then there's a mechanism for the engineers they need to understand how the doctor's operating.
Right.
And you're
correct.
bridging that with your technology.
Yes,
Because
yes,
of you being a doctor,
That's
of
my
course.
role. Yes.
That's your role in this.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Now you have, you know, a rollout, an amazing product. And now the product's going to be, well, it's quite an expensive product, isn't it?
Right.
What's the price for these machines?
Well, actually, you know, we're trying to you know, range it along with the other competitors. But obviously, we have some more advanced feature in it. But you know, obviously, you know, we would like to spread out to U.S. and China. So we would, you know, roughly do it around 500,000 per machine, if it's possible. Yes.
And there's a big demand. I mean, they all want to have access to it because university hospitals, of course, right?
Yes.
I went to George Washington University, and they have a very well-known hospital there.
Right.
So when they teach, I guess that's great because you know, it promotes the brand, it promotes the you know, competency of the doctors, and it teaches the younger generation how to do things.
Right. Exactly.
No, it's exciting things. I mean, it takes a little time to understand, and obviously, you know, we had a chance to look at a couple images of how it really looks, and it might not be for the lighthearted. You know, some of these images are difficult to look at, so, you know, I just want to make sure people are ready for the imagery coming up. You know, as far as, you know, after this trip to New York, you're going back to Korea, and you're already up and operating, and it's about execution. When did you start the business, Mr. Lee?
About 4 years ago, 2015, I started with my colleague, two of my colleagues.
That's recently.
Yes.
What a growth.
Yes.
Just 4 years.
Just 4 years. Yeah. Yes. I mean, when my employee is about 50 nowadays.
What were some of the other, you know, opportunities that can be done with this? What kind of, you know, medical situations are solved? We mentioned, you know, you be able to, you know, remove cancers, and well, not cancer, but I mean tumors.
Yes.
What else? And you can also, you know, find things faster. I mean, when you deal with the liver, for instance, hemorrhaging is a huge risk.
Right.
How does this solve this for the
Well,
liver?
basically, to rectify the actual tumor in your own human eyes would be the first thing. That's one of the biggest advantage. You know, again, traditionally the doctors will do a surgery on behalf of what he thinks where it will be located. So most of the young doctors, when they cut open it, blood might spur because they may have cut it wrong places. And then every human has a different type of functionality. So this iTS endoscope really does, you know, how do I say, locate exact place where the tubes and the tumors are there. So this is a huge advantage we can actually see into it.
I mean, most of these operations are now being done with machines. So, you know, that's also something to give some people more exactness. Thank you very much for sharing this with me.
Thank you.
It's been a marvelous opportunity to learn about your industry. And then these, you know, shows allows me to share with everybody else what's happening. And this is the New York Stock Exchange. Thank you for being here at the New York Stock Exchange. And we thank the companies who joined us today, iTS. Thank you.